tremendous damage would have ensued and many Iranians would have been. It was going to be the biggest attack of the war by far. During the last few days, I was working on possible removal of sanctions and other things, which would have given a much better chance to Iran at full, fast, and complete recovery. Yeah. Still waiting on the time and place of his choosing to attack the Trump administration, by the way. I can't wait to see what he's got cooked up for Trump, dude. He's lost it. He's obviously lost his dang mind. He is angry.
He wants his, quote, big, beautiful spending bill by July 4th. And today will be an important day at the Supreme Court as well, with a ruling that has major implications for President Trump's agenda nationwide.
But we start in Iran, where some officials there admit the U.S. military strikes caused serious damage to nuclear sites. Imtiaz Tayyab is inside Iran, where he's been talking to Iranians about their reaction to the attacks by the U.S. and Israel. It should be noted Imtiaz's movements and reporting are being followed closely by the Iranian government. Imtiaz, good morning. What are people telling you?
Good morning. Well, here in Iran, the deadly 12-day war with Israel has triggered a rare surge in national unity amongst Iranians who are so often deeply divided over how their nation is run, as the country's supreme leader downplayed any damage caused to its nuclear facilities.
In a taped address, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei lashed out at Israel and the U.S., saying Iran had, quote, delivered a slap to America's face. We met Iranian government spokeswoman Fatima Mohajerani here in Tehran. She told us her country would continue to pursue its nuclear program.
We had no intention to move towards a nuclear bomb. It's Israel that has 90 nuclear warheads, but we did not want to go that way.
The only man who can outdo Hakeem Jeffries in charisma. Ayatollah Khamenei. Damn, dude. Back-to-back panty droppers on the broadcast, dude. What am I going to do? I know it's hard. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with the with the news of the day with this many sex icons.
Nonetheless, we will obtain the scientific knowledge to do what we want with our program.
Since we arrived in Iran, what struck us is how Iranians from across the political spectrum, and who often agree on very little, were united against what they saw as unprovoked attacks by Israel and the U.S. that killed over 600 Iranians.
What do you mean what they see as? That is what it is. What the fuck do you mean what the Iranian people see as unprovoked attacks by Israel and the U.S.? That's what happened. That's so stupid.
Even those who had open grievances came together to support the Iranian state.
The official line from Iran's leadership is its nuclear program is far from obliterated.
These facilities have been seriously damaged. Any further reports should come from technical experts in the field.
So there is a possibility that these sites have been completely destroyed.
I want to stress that these facilities have been seriously damaged. However, we must wait for the report.
Now, in all of our trips here to Iran, it's clear this is a nation that deeply reveres its nearly 3,000 years of history and culture. And it's been explained to us that the Iranian leadership's concept of time may somewhat differ from how we might understand it, meaning that if Iran's nuclear program has indeed been set back by months or even years, for them, they seem to believe time is ultimately on their side. For CBS Mornings, I'm Imtiaz Tayyab in Tehran.
To the fragile ceasefire between Israel and Iran.
The Iranian is a mysterious figure who has a different understanding of time and place. The Persian concept of time, the same as the Westerner. The mind of a Persian is a mystery. Mysteriously, they feel galvanized and emboldened, and angry and resentful toward.
On today, Iran's supreme leader spoke for the very first time since the conflict. He is claiming victory over Israel and says the U.S. failed to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. Imtiaz Tayyab and a CBS News crew traveled inside the country to see how this is playing out on the ground. It was a revealing journey. Imtiaz joins us from the Iranian capital of Tehran. Imtiaz, good morning.
Good morning. Well, after days of silence, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, congratulated his country's, quote, victory over Israel. But after nearly 2 weeks of intense fighting, Iran's airspace had been closed, and the only way we could get here was by road.
We started our journey from the Turkish-Iranian border at night, a nearly 600-mile trip to Tehran made longer by checkpoints and bad roads. As day broke, we traveled past vast countryside, arid, rocky, and seemingly endless.
We've already been driving for 10 hours and have another 4 hours ahead of us.
The reason we had to drive was because up until that afternoon, Iran's airspace had been complete.
Bro, who looks open presents to donate 2,800 subs? Is that not odd? I don't ask these sorts of questions, but I assume Euler from Qatar, or Euler from Iran, or most likely someone from a country where the currency exchange favors this kind of purchase. I don't know, but usually it's like that. It's usually like we used to have a Turkish gifter as well who gifted like 5,000 gifted subs, and I don't know if they're in America or not, but sometimes people will just like gift from Turkey and they'll gift like 5,000 gifted subs and it's like $5. Didn't Twitch normalize all sub prices by nation so you can't really do it like that anymore? I don't think so. I think there's still a currency exchange, no? Open Hamas. No, there are a lot of countries whose localized prices are adjusted to be around $2 USD.
Closed. Even with the ceasefire in place, we saw fuel still being limited at gas stations. As we arrived in Tehran, we found it slowly coming back to life. After 12 days of near constant Israeli airstrikes and drone attacks, which killed at least 600, according to the Iranian government. Last week, President Trump urged the entire city, roughly the same population of New York City, to evacuate. Most remained, and with the ceasefire appearing to hold, some have started to venture out. At Firdaus Park, a historic meeting spot for Iranian thinkers and writers, a few of the cafes and restaurants had reopened.
Chicken Son, fried chicken sandwich. Oh, there's been a back and forth, by the way, because the Ayatollah said like he won, and then Trump obviously got very mad at that. Let me see if I can find it. But he basically was like, he wrote this effort post, which I can't be the only one who gets annoyed by this. Like, I don't like when Trump writes these long effort posts. I feel like he's trying too hard, and it's not like him. You know what I mean? Another 100, Jesus Christ. Crazy. Like, Trump is at his best when he's just, like, doing short, concise attacks. Piffy. You know? He's undressing for subs, confirmed? No. Why would the so-called Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei of the war-torn country of Iran say so blatantly and foolishly that he won the war with Israel when he knows his statement is a lie? It is not so. As a man of great faith, he is not supposed to lie. His country was decimated. His 3 evil nuclear sites were obliterated. His three evil nuclear sites were obliterated. And I knew exactly where he was sheltered, and I would not let Israel or the U.S. Armed Forces, by far the greatest and most powerful army in the world, terminate his life. I saved him from a very ugly and ignominious... Okay, he didn't write this. Trump does not know the word ignominious. No, he did not write this. This is Stephen Chung, or... Because this is not even the golf caddy of Donald Trump that wrote this. Like, he did not write that word. And he does not have to say, thank you, President Trump. In fact, in the final act of the war, I demanded that Israel bring back a very large group of planes, which were heading directly to Tehran, looking for a big day, perhaps the final knockout. Tremendous damage would have ensued, and many Iranians would have been killed. It was going to be the biggest attack of the war by far. During the last few days, I was working on possible removal of sanctions and other things, which would have given a much better chance to Iran at full, fast, and complete recovery. I told you, he's like dangling sanctions relief as well as allowing Iran to continue doing its civil plan. It is pretty funny, though, that Iran's nuclear sites are evil, anti-Semitic. Iran's anti-Semitic nuclear sites. I was working on the possible removal of sanctions. The sanctions are biting, but no, instead I get hit with a statement of anger, hatred, and disgust, and immediately dropped all work on sanctions relief and more. Iran has to get back into the world order flow or things will only get worse for them. Dog, you blew them up. Like you can't honestly say, why won't you say thank you after you blew them up? It's also additionally funny that he's dropped the negotiations because he's personally upset. He's personally upset that the Ayatollah stated that he won instead of groveling at Trump's feet. A burned out, they're always so angry, hostile, and unhappy, and look at what it has gotten them. A burned out, blown up country with no future, a decimated military, a horrible economy, and death all around them. They have no hope and will only get worse. I wish the leadership of Iran would realize that you often get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Peace. I mean, if Iran had killed like 600 plus Americans, including like scientists, okay, I don't think Americans would be like, thank you for stopping your murder campaign. Like, I'm pretty sure we would nuke Iran if Iran had struck America in the way that like Israel and America struck Iran. So I don't know why like this kind of statement comes after ridiculous war crimes took place amidst negotiations. Of course, Iran responded to this as well. He said, Sayed Abbas Arakshi said, the complexity and tenacity of Iranians is famously known in our magnificent carpets, woven through our countless hours of hard work and patience. But as a people, our basic premise is very simple and straightforward. We know our worth, value our independence, and never allow anyone else to decide our destiny. If President Trump is genuine about wanting a deal, he should put aside the disrespectful and unacceptable tone towards Iran's supreme leader, Grand Ayatollah Khamenei, and stop hurting his millions of heartfelt followers. The great and powerful people of Iran, who showed the world that the Israeli regime had no choice but to run to daddy to avoid being flattened by our missiles, do not take kindly to threats and insults. If illusions lead to worse mistakes, Iran will not hesitate to unveil its real capabilities, which certainly will end any delusion about the power of Iran. Goodwill begets goodwill, and respect begets respect. I mean, they ain't wrong about the run the daddy shit. I like that this is just like the tit for tat, the back and forth that happened between Iran and Israel and in America as well, where Iran basically was like, yeah, we don't, sure, we'll do like a symbolic strike on the base in Qatar, but our real smoke is with Israel. And then they just, even in this process, they're still shitting on Israel. They're like, America, respect us, but also Israel, and we will slap them again as they run to daddy one more time. This is yet another instance where they are unleashing on Israel in a conversation that's supposed to be taking place between the United States of America and Iran, which respect, deserved. Israel deserves all of that, all of that resentment, to be fair. Yeah, talk to him, Syed. Anyway.
It's where we met math teacher Azita.
Do you feel confident that the ceasefire between Israel and Iran will hold?
This is a war, she says. We Iranians have no choice but to endure the situation in any way we can. For so many in Tehran, life remains far from normal.
This metropolis is home to over 9 million people and is the seat of power of the supreme leader.
Unfortunately, Trump got some big wins this week. Like what? None of those wins for Trump is a win for the American people. Like, if Trump got a win, if Trump got a W, like if Trump was able to facilitate a meaningful ceasefire, like a real one, a long-lasting peace between Israel and an attempt to offer restitution to the Palestinians, I would be the first person on board to say, this is obviously coming after months and months of endless, unlimited ethnic cleansing, but respect. But if you're considering like the SCOTUS victory to be a victory for Trump, yeah, it's a victory for his ambitions, but it's not exactly a victory for the world. It's not exactly a victory for any of us. So if any of these like dumb Republicans, for example, consider that to be a victory for them, they're stupid. They don't understand that it's not necessarily a victory at all. Yeah, it's a big week for the unitary executive theory, but how the fuck is that going to help the average American? It's turning America, it's making America closer and closer to being like a full-blown monarchy.
The Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who still looms large.
Including at these near daily rallies by
It's a victory. Iran is 100% shook. Dude, it's Iran. What are you talking about? If anything, if you're thinking about it from the perspective of like the Islamic Republic, this isn't exactly bad for the Islamic Republic, because now having an outside infiltrator, an outside enemy, kill your civilians, unironically hardens your position. People looking at this from the outside look at this and think, oh no, this is, destabilization is imminent. But if anything, this kind of stuff actually unites the country, regardless of how much resentment even secular forces within the country feel.
Supporters, but Khamenei has continued to remain out.
Like, what is the victory here? Iran pulled out of the International Atomic Energy Agency cooperation. Trump seemingly is signaling that he wants to do sanctions relief and allow them to have a civilian nuclear program once again. If anything, this is a ginormous L for Israel, because if America's ambitions with Iran is to normalize relations with Iran, but Israel's ambitions with Iran is to destabilize Iran and destroy Iran, Israel was completely incapable of achieving that military objective. Like, it didn't work at all. So a Trump W then? I don't think Trump wants to serve Israel an L.
Out of sight, and Iranians we've spoken to tell us they feel uncertain about what might come next.
Now, the last time I was here in Tehran was around 5 years ago, and the difference now couldn't be more stark. Despite being globally isolated and under heavy sanctions, this remains a vibrant and cosmopolitan city. But this morning, most businesses still remain shut, and the sense of nervousness is palpable. Adriana.
MTS, thank you so much. In Tehran.
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talked about maybe just
secret nuclear sites?
Yes, that there might be some.
Not really. Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live at such a...
I'm not kidding when I say this. This confirms, I guess, my prior biases, but it does feel like Israel wasn't necessarily exhausted, but wanted more cooperation from Trump, like a more meaningful entry into the battle, to shift Iran's priorities away from striking Israel. But because I think he wasn't ready for it, partially because I think Israel overpromised and underdelivered in terms of regime change and how swift it would be. This is, again, I'm just like looking at what I'm seeing and making this, this is speculation, right? But it does feel like Israel had ambitious military objectives. The number one being destabilization of the Iranian leadership and, full-blown rebellion, right? They thought that they could probably get a couple IRGC leaders to evacuate, like, blackmail footage or whatever that they could play over and over again to tell the Iranians, like, it's time for revolution, it's time for revolt, these people are over, even the IRGC knows this. None of that happened. And they did the most Israel thing they always do, which is blow up a bunch of residential buildings. And that, of course, pissed off the Iranian people even further. So then, even though there were a shit ton of people who are, anti-Islamic Republic, they were like, yeah, this is crazy. Like, what are you doing? So they weren't able to achieve that major objective. The other objective, I guess, like the one objective that they did achieve seemingly is like the other objective that they seemingly did achieve is maybe like maintaining air superiority over certain Iranian positions, right? They obviously did do that. That much is clear. But that still did not stop the Iranian ballistic missile launchers from successfully sending ballistic missiles into Tel Aviv. And in the process, they showed the world that they are not, that they're not impossible to harm.
A mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. they got the hate out. There's a lot of hate, a lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate, but the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now.
See, you were asking, like, does he not show respect to the Ayatollah? He is a revered man, and when he speaks, his people listen to him. Your answer is clear. He does. He loves all authoritarians, with the exception of Maduro, I think. Like, he does not care. Adversary, ally, doesn't matter. If someone commands great power and great respect over a big chunk of the population, and I will never know why he just has like personal smoke for Maduro. He hates Maduro. But that's it. Like, Maduro is a strong man as well. But for some reason, he just has never glazed them, and he always hates Maduro. He always shits on Maduro.
Iran wants to meet. As you know, their sites were obliterated. They're very evil nuclear sites. They were, now has been proven. We had some fake news for a little while. The same people that covered the Hunter Biden laptop was from Russia. The same people that did 3 or 4 other Russia hoax.
What about Ibrahim Traore? Dude, if Trump knew who Ibrahim Traore is, he would love the guy. Are you kidding me? He'd be like, he's so handsome. Have you seen his beret? He wears a beret just like that Sankara. He's such a handsome guy. Looks like he came right out of Central Casting. Ibrahim. I could totally see him saying some shit like that. His people like him. He's a hot guy.
But on their
no, wait, just listen. They came up with something that delayed the credit that our great pilots and these great what talent that was, and they hit it right down in the spot. 52,000 feet. Think of this dark, no moon, you couldn't see a thing. And they hit the refrigerator door, as they say. That's the size of a target, and overwhelmingly. And it's amazing what was done. We're the only...
Guys, because Maduro is not a strongman. He's been freely elected and reelected over the years. Come on, dog. You can be elected and still be a strongman. What are you talking about? Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been freely elected and reelected for years as well. And that still doesn't change the reality that he's an authoritarian strongman too. What?
The ones that could have done it. And we took out the 2 of the other sites also. In addition to that, we finished them off. That was a very evil intention. I believe that, and again, time will tell, but I don't believe that they're going to go back into nuclear anytime soon. They spent over $1 trillion on nuclear, and they never got it together. And nothing was moved from the site, by the way. To do that is very dangerous. It's very those cars were most likely the cars of Masons, because they were pouring concrete at the top, at the hatch, as you know, the hatch going into the nuclear site. They wanted to reinforce it, and they had some Masons there pouring concrete. By the way, that concrete was obliterated. It hit exactly at the concrete. It was, I don't think it had a chance to dry, but everything's down there. It's under millions of tons of rock.
As you go into negotiations and talks with Iran, are you demanding not only that there would be no uranium production inside of Iran, but also that Iran would turn over all existing stockpiles of uranium?
Well, you know, we're a little early for that, but something like that, yeah, we'll do something like that. Let me say that I've been saying for 25 years, even as a civilian, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon, and that's what happened. It's been obliterated. It would be years before they could ever get going, and I really think it's probably the last thing. They have to recover from a hell of a tough war.
Would you also be demanding that the IAEA have full rights to inspect in Iran?
Or somebody, yeah, or somebody that we respect, including ourselves.
But if the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely.
And have you had any conversations?
Turned out to be unbelievable.
Why Americans should support Iran and not Israel by North Star Radio. Okay, I'm not going to watch this. One Stop Shop. Oh, Alligator Alcatraz. The Iranian people are fighting against the same exact force keeping them from affording groceries. Why the hell not? Because I've literally described this so many times at this point. I feel like we're going to go over the same shit over and over again. And there's Ethan Klein mentions in it. But North Star Radio always makes bangers. So I recommend you go watch it on your own time. Tehran is getting bombed? What? Question, why do you not use the add-on that shows dislikes? Because they're not real. And I know that from my own personal experience, people will constantly say, explosions right now? What? Yeah, they're not, the add-on doesn't actually show anything real. People will constantly talk about how my videos get like a